Hey everybody, welcome to the full button tutorial on the 2024 Toyota Tacoma SR5. In this video we're going to cover all of the buttons that you can reach from the driver's seat and do a little bit on the screen. With that said, let's begin. Starting on the door, the first button here is the window lock button with a little green LED. When you turn on this button, the passengers cannot open their windows. Moving forward, the Tacomas have auto one touch down and one touch up windows all around. Following are the door locks. Now if you feel, there are two little nubs on the locking button. That way you don't have to look down at the door, you just feel for the two little nubbies there and you can lock the doors. In front of them is the mirror adjustment pad. So if I hit the R here, I can toggle the right mirror on the door. If I hit the L, it's the left mirror, and then there's a neutral position so that if I hit this, nothing happens. The Tacoma SR5 comes with a manual seat with an electronic lumbar support. So starting from left to right, the first lever here is the recliner, so I can go forward and back like that on my upper back. The next lever is the height adjuster, so it's pump activated to go up, or I can just push it to go back down. And then there's a little button over here for my lower back, forward or back, and that gives me more or less lower back support. Of course, to put the seat forward and back, there's the traditional bar here that I can pull up, and then I can slide the seat forward or back. Working our way up the dashboard, here is the lever to open up the hood in case I want to do some service or check my fluids. And above that is the controls for the bed lighting. So this little pad here has the on, which will keep the bed light on all the time. The center position is door, so it only opens, it only goes on when you open the doors or unlock the truck. And then off, which means the bed light will never come on. Above the bed light, we have a bunch of empty plugs in case you want to install accessories. The higher trims will actually have the buttons for those accessories, but we have four main buttons here. On the top is the on-the-fly headlight adjusting leveler. So if I'm towing or hauling and I need to change that headlight level, I can change that right there. Next is the brightness lever for the gauges. So if I push this button, there'll be a little symbol over here showing me how bright my speedometer is. So it just keeps getting dimmer and goes to the brightest. Next up is the activator button for the auto high beams. So when I turn that on and I put the lights in auto, the high beams will come on their own. And lastly is the disengager button for the traction control and vehicle stability control. Looking to the right of that button pad is a pull down lever where you can telescope, raise or lower the steering wheel. Once you find the perfect spot, you just lock it right back into place. And speaking of the steering wheel, we will start with the back of the steering wheel, the two stalks. The first stalk on the left is the headlight stalk. So like I mentioned on the auto high beams, if you leave the lights in auto, the truck will know when it's dark and it'll put on the headlights for you, and this also gives you daytime running lights. You can turn off the daytime running lights by going to DRL off. And the next selection above auto is parking lights, which will be your dim lights in the front, tail lights, and all your buttons will light up without the main beams on. Now say you want to ride with all the lights on all the time, you have the option right here. A couple examples would be if it's raining during the day or snowing or foggy during the day and you want those tail lights on and main beams, because really auto's only going to kick those on when it's dark. Now when the lights are on here, or I have them on manually, I have the option to turn the fog lights on or off. I can also turn them on or off with parking lights as well. Say I want that nice low light. The right stalk operates the washer fluid and windshield wipers. It's a very simple stalk. We have four different positions here. We have the off position, which we're in. We have the intermittent position, which I can change how often they go, whether they go more often or less often. Then I have down again for low constant and down again for high constant. If I pull this towards me, symbolized by the symbol over here, I get the washer fluid. On the front of the steering wheel, there are two main pads of buttons. We'll start with the left. So on the left pad, the operation for the MID, which is the screen inside of the TAC right there, we have left, right, up, down, select, and back. So I can select, go back, and change back and forth or up and down for the menus. When we get to the MID, you'll see me navigating through the different pages. I'm using the side-by-side arrows and the up and down. On some of those menus, I'll have to push and hold OK. On some of them, you just push OK real quick. The top right button over here is for accepting phone calls or ending phone calls. Then we have the volume button for the phone calls or the music. Over here is the voice command button, which will operate the Toyota virtual assistant, or if you push and hold, it'll activate Siri or the Google Assistant. The right side of the steering wheel has main controls for the cruise control and a couple music buttons. So starting on the top left, this will activate the cruise control. You can change the cruise control mode with the little mode button over here, because you have two cruise controls. You have the adaptive cruise control and the constant speed, which we know for many years. The assistance for the cruise control, the lane trace assist and lane departure alert, are included here. And then we can cancel the cruise control, resume it, or you can go up or down in speed right there. On the bottom, we have the following distance. So this button here is not only a mode button, but there's a lower lever for the following distance. You can change that all the time. There's going to be a little symbol right over here with your following bars. You can turn those down or up at any time with this button right over here. Then for music buttons, I have the mode for AM, FM, Bluetooth, or Sirius, and I can change my songs right here. Now, to make that cruise control simple, basically all you would do is just hit cruise control, change your speed, and you're good to go. While you're moving, you can change that sensitivity, and you can change the mode right there. Very simple to do. Every time you push the brake pedal, it's going to cancel, or you can just cancel like this, and you can resume. On the speedometer of the new 2024 Tacoma SR5, this is a different style than you would get in the TRDs. It's a very simple, easy reader. So on the left-hand side is the temperature. So you'll be able to see right away how your running temp is. And on the right is the fuel level. So we're kind of have like a retro modern style here with those notches. And in the center is the speedometer / tach and MID. On the top left is the outside temperature. On the top right is the time. There's a couple symbols as we work our way down on the right hand side. We have the dynamic radar cruise control, which is the little car with the arrow. The lane departure alert is on with the symbol of that car going out of its lane. And then on the bottom we have the range for the fuel. On the bottom left is the odometer, which is the total miles on the vehicle. This one has 10 miles. And then in the center is the tach. So we have a digital tachometer showing us the RPMs with a digital speedometer. It says P for park. It's giving us some gas mileage. Don't judge this, guys, because I've been parked and running the truck, so this truck really hasn't been driven in real life yet. I can hold OK to reset that, of course. Now I'm going to use those left, right, up, and down arrows on the pad on the left-hand side of the steering wheel like I mentioned. So going left to right, I have 2 pages back and forth symbolized by these 2 little circles, and I'm in the Eco menu, which is symbolized by this little leaf. So we're going to go down the different menus. And as we go through each menu, we're going to go side to side on the different pages. So we have our average economy here. If I push to the right again, I have an eco indicator, which is like my throttle response. Going down, here's the compass. That's one of my personal favorite pages. Here's our adaptive cruise mode. So this will change colors depending on what the cruise control is doing. It's going to go from yellow to white to green when it senses things. Here's our music page. This is going to show me the source, so we're on Sirius, the song, and the artist. Of course, I can push OK and change my sources like this. So it's very nice to see we can operate all the music from the steering wheel. Here's our vehicle information page. This has a lot of different pages in this menu, as you can see by all these little circles. So now we're getting a little bit more involved. So for the first page here, we have drive info. So the total distance that we drove and the total time the vehicle is on. Next, we have our trip A, which has all the information about it. Trip B, with all the information about it. Our individual tire pressure. Our traction monitor, which is really cool to see in a Tacoma. So this is going to show us our traction with our 4x4 system. Our pitch and roll, which we used to only see on the TRD Off-Road and Pros. So this shows you the angle of the truck side by side or front and back. Here's our trailer braking, so we can actually have a visual view of the trailer braking, which is that lever on the right-hand side of the steering wheel that I showed you. That's how you operate the braking on a trailer. And then we have the trailer mode BSM. So this truck does have blind spot monitor, the little yellow lights in the mirrors when somebody's in your blind spot. This, when you go into tow haul mode, will change the blind spot monitor to view things differently and account for your trailer. Then we have our battery voltage and we have our oil pressure. And then, of course, we have the boost gauge here. So this is basically showing how much PSI we're running on the turbo when we're accelerating. working our way down, we have the settings page. So there's a bunch of different things we can go through, and then it switches pages like this. So starting from the left, the lane departure alert system. If I hold the OK button there on the steering wheel, I can change the alert system on and off, the alert options from vibrate to sound, and the alert timing if I want it slightly delayed or more sensitive. Next is the blind spot monitor system. So I can turn it on and off or push and hold OK for the timing and the brightness of those lights on the mirror. Next, the pre-collision system, which is signified by PCS. That's how the truck senses you're about to hit something or someone. The warning timing and on and off. The proactive drive assist, which is coming from the factory off. This will give you gentle steering and slow you down slightly if you're hitting turns a little bit quick. You can turn that on and off or change some of the settings. Say you want only steering assist or you want only the deceleration assist. You can turn either one on or off depending on what you want and change the sensitivity. Here is the parking sensors, or parking sonar, or parking assist, whatever you like to call it. That's the beeping in the front and back as you get closer to stationary objects. You can turn it on or off, or push and hold OK to change the volume. And moving on to a few more is the RCTA. This is rear cross traffic alert. It works with the blind spot monitor system in reverse only, and it's going to give you 4 quick beeps repeatedly when it senses movement while you're reversing. So if I push and hold OK, I can change the volume, or I can just turn it on and off. Next is the parking support brake. So that's the instant braking when you're in reverse or drive and you're parking. Once you get really close, it's going to brake automatically for you. Now you might think, oh, I always want that on. I always want the truck to brake for me when I get too close. Not necessarily. Say you want to keep your parking sensors on, but you don't want them to automatically brake when you go to the car wash. Say you go to an automatic car wash, or you're connecting to a trailer. It's going to sense that you're getting close, but you know that you can hit those little flappy things in the car wash without it being a problem. But you want to keep that parking sensor on. That's the option that you have there. Here's the road sign assist. This will read certain road signs. It's really more for the speed limit, but it'll read a couple other things. You can change the notification method for speeding. See, no notification, only visual, visual and audio. For above the speed limit. And I can change how high over the speed limit it alerts me right here. Now onto vehicle settings. When I hold OK, there are quite a few things. So it has sway warning, so if it thinks I'm driving tiredly, it'll give me a brake suggestion. I can turn that off if I don't like. The dynamic radar cruise control, I can push OK to change the acceleration level. So these are advanced settings that we are not used to having in the previous system here. The guide messaging I can turn on and off. The curve speed reduction I can lower or raise. These are advanced tweaks to make this adaptive cruise control work specifically for the way you like it. And then here's some trailer settings. So I can add a trailer, I can deselect a trailer, and it'll ask you a couple questions about the type of trailer you have. That's important for when you go into tow haul mode and you change your blind spot monitor for the trailer that you're operating. Here's the trailer light check. So it'll actually do a light check for you, which is really convenient. Tailgate down alert, really nice to see. The tire pressure warning system. Check this out. I can do a tire set switch, tire rotation, and tire pressure setting right over here. Very advanced settings for my tires, really nice to see. And I can change my units. It's about time Toyota's brought that to the table for people. Scheduled maintenance I can reset, oil maintenance, the rear seat reminder to check for kids and dogs in the back, and other loved ones, and the stoplight display. So when you push on the brakes, it gives you those little red bars on the bottom. If I don't like that, I can actually turn that off. And over here we have some meter settings. If I hold OK, I can change the language, the units. Not a ton of languages, but this is one of my favorites, the meter style. This is going to change the tack. Interesting. And it changes the little design behind the speed too. Check it out. See that? And you're sporty. Pretty neat. I'll put this back to tough. Most truck people are gonna like that. The dial type, I can make it a speedometer instead. Or I can turn it off and have only digital speed for a really simple reader. Most people would prefer the TAC. For the eco menu, I can start changing what type of economy information shows or that it focuses on. For the music, I can just basically turn that on and off for the display. For display contents, there's just different things here that I can select that it will show or not show on the MID. So basically what this is allowing us to do is start consolidating things, turning things on and off that I don't like, and make there be less things to travel through when navigating the menus on the MID. See? For pop-up display, so those are just your little banner alerts. That's what we call them on the phones. These are your little banner alerts when you do things. You can turn off these banner alerts for all these different items. So say I don't want to see that pop-up display / banner alert, I can turn that off right there. And MID off if I want a real simple, easy reader. To get the MID, I just push the back button again, and I can go back to default settings right there. Last menu on the bottom is the little warning symbol. That will stay lit up orange and have a little icon on the bottom if there actually is an issue. So you don't have to worry about it hiding things from you or you forgetting. But this will tell you if you're due for maintenance soon, if you have low tire pressure, if there's something wrong with one of the computer systems, if there's something wrong with your turbo, oil pressure, coolant temp, anything the truck senses as it ages, it will let you know right away right there. And if you're signed up for the Service Connect, which is complimentary, it will send those alerts to your dealer of your choice as well. And that summarizes the wonderful MID. Let's move on to buttons near the shifter. Now we're going to talk about buttons by the shifter. So even though we're sitting in a Tacoma SR5 that's upgraded, there are no options over here. However, the big tuna can is what I want to take a minute to talk about, the 4-wheel drive. So we have this big dial, and what's nice is you can operate it without having to move your arm. And the way it works is you basically just put your hand on it and push this little button on the left, and it allows you to turn from 2 high to 4 high like this. So you can do that while moving. Now to get into the 4 low, you would just have to put it into neutral. Of course, you're stopped. Then you can push and turn it into 4 low. Then you pick what gear you want to go into, and after rolling a couple feet, it'll activate right away. To get out of 4-wheel low, it's the same deal. You have to go to neutral, then you can come out of it, then you can pick your gear. Now remember, from 4 high to 2 high and back and forth, you can do that while moving, so we can just change that on the fly. Now what's nice is we also have a tow and haul button, which will kind of change the way the driving is when you're towing. Speaking of that, there is a button that's not down by the shifter I want to mention now, the brake controller, which is part of that upgrade package. So when you're towing and hauling and pulling, you can change your trailer braking like this. And then of course you have the old school button reliving, the ECT power, electronic controlled transmission. When you push that, it's just going to light up in red and say power. There's really no perfect time to use that. It's basically just a power mode for the Tacoma. To get out of power mode or tow haul mode, you can just push the button again and it will turn it off. Moving forward, we have 2 buttons, one that you'll push, one that you won't. So you won't really push the parking brake button here or lever. That's going to engage and disengage on its own when you take it out of park. Of course, you can manually do it. However, signified by the red park word right over here, that's how you know your vehicle has the parking brake on. So if I go into drive or reverse, it goes away, and then after putting it back in park, within 2 seconds it reapplies, and I can take my foot off the brake. The brake hold button. This is a cool feature. This allows you to come to a stop while you're in drive. Take your foot off the brake, and the Tacoma is going to hold your place for you. It works really nice on the hills, but say you're driving in a lot of traffic, this button does a lot of nice work for you. Say you have injured feet, sore, tired legs, etc. All you have to do is buckle up. And this only works in drive, by the way. Once I push this, I'm gonna see on the very right-hand side 2 words that say hold. When I see the yellow, that means it's working. The green just means that it's on. So I can take my foot off the brake. Once I give it a little bit of gas, it takes off the hold, and when I come to a stop, once I see that yellow, I can take my foot off the brake again. The brake hold feature does not work in reverse, which is convenient because you know that when you push the gas, you're only going to go forward. But speaking of reverse, here's the backup camera on the Tacoma with the upgrade package. We have a couple different options here to change the lines. Here's the dynamic grid lines, and we have the blue notch for the center of the truck. I can also change the viewing angle to peripheral or regular view. And we have a diagram over here of the parking sensors, which are included on the SR5 upgrade package, and how much they're sensing we get close to this wall. So as you can see, these will start to beep a little faster the closer we get. And then it's gonna go solid once we're really close. In front of the buttons by the shifter is a upright wireless charging pad, a part of the upgrade package, so you can put your phone facing you. That way you can see notifications and interact with them on the screen. Let's work our way up to the climate control. For the climate control on the new 2024 Tacoma, we have these 2 big dials. One for the fan speed on the right and one for the temperature on the left. It does not come with a dual zone climate control, but starting with the left is the button for the heated steering wheel. Nice to see at the SR5 level. Then we have the control for the temperature. And of course for the fan speed, symbolized by the fan symbol. So you'll notice the symbol on the screen, just typical of Toyota, is close to the button or the lever. We have the heated seats for driver and passenger. 3 different levels. And now we have more of like a lever system here instead of buttons. So from left to right, the front defroster for the windshield. Rear defroster with the defrosting side mirrors. I can change my air direction right here. Then I can put on recirculate and the AC like that for the really hot days. Don't forget, on the right hand side of the climate control is the button for the hazards. Interesting that Toyota did not put them here where they're a little more accessible and visible, but in case you ever need them, they're right on the very right hand side. For overhead features, included is the auto-dimming rear view mirror with home link for 3 different garage door openers. So this mirror gets dim on its own. A glasses case for driving glasses / sunglasses. Our individual map lights, which you kind of have to push in the corner here. Light controls, all lights on all the time, only on with the doors, never on. Nice soft touch. We have the operation for the rear window. And then just pull to close. And of course the 10-year, or until the 4G network goes away, trial of Toyota Safety Connect, which is a recovery system in case you get into an accident or your vehicle is stolen. Now let's wrap things up with visiting the new software system. For the screen, we're running Toyota's new software system. Do be advised, linked down below will be a separate tutorial for this screen, so I will keep it very simple for you. On this screen, we have a toolbar with the Toyota system, but when you're connected to CarPlay or Android Auto, you'll get a little badge on the top that you can select to flip software to go to that type of software. But we have the radio here for AM and FM music, my phone menu, which I'll really be running off of the smartphone, some car information here, and there are some different settings like general. I got the date and time. If I go over to display, I can turn the screen off like this, which is nice. And another thing I like to show people is in vehicle customize. I can change my door lock settings and even how loud it beeps when I lock it. But be sure to check out that video because we dive a lot deeper in the screen. With that said, that covers all of the buttons and controls. Of course, here's your push starter button, which used to be down here. Let me know if you guys liked the video. Please consider subscribing and sharing with a friend or family member. If you do subscribe, guys, it really helps me get this Toyota content out to people that could benefit from it. So please give me a subscribe. If I missed something that you wanted to go over, please let me know down in the comments, because that's where you can find me. But with that said, that wraps it up. This is Brian signing out. I will see you in the next one. Peace.